This is Mikey Four Eyes from MAUL. This is the WrestleHorror podcast. Hope you're ready to listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to WrestleHorror. Greetings, viewers and listeners. Meathook, Jim here, the WrestleHorror podcast. With me, as always, my co-host, Donnie Hoover. Donnie, I don't know about you, but I just heard a thunderclap.
It might be because you're in the middle of the ocean.
Oh, so it was a wave crashing.
Probably. I'll say it's bright and sunny on my part of town, so I don't know what your part of town's looking like.
I'll take the moonlit ocean. I'm a dark kind of guy. So, joining us on this episode of WrestleHorror is a good friend of mine and a great haunter in his own right, Mike Reynolds, also known as Mikey Four Eyes. Mikey, what is going on, my friend?
Well, just living the life as a haunter right now, just quietly doing my thing, working and doing my thing.
So let's go back to the beginning for listeners, Mikey, and
okay,
let's talk about how you became a haunter.
Well, it happened at Scarefest about 7 years ago, 7 years ago. And I was with Brett, the former Bloodzo that was on your guys' show a couple weeks ago. And he was telling me about you, saying, hey, I'm a part of this this haunt group, and we travel and do our thing. And, we make our own characters. And then I asked him, I'm like, so is Bloodzo a part of that? He's like, yeah, I can do what I want to an extent. And I'm like, oh, that sounds actually really fun, because I started scaring as a little kid, like with my mom, like scaring the crap out of my mom. And, and she had a few choice words for that, which is pretty funny. But, and then, we went to Scarefest down in Lexington. Is it Lexington or Louisville? Lexington. And and he was telling me that you were there and you were the owner of MAUL, which is the group that I'm affiliated with now. And I'm like, oh, I got to meet him. And so through the whole convention, we got there at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just yelling at Brad, like, dude, I got to meet Jim. I'm like, how will I know it's him? They're like, oh, he's a big guy, and he could topple you in a heartbeat. And I'm like, okay. So, and it's like, well, I'm a short guy, so that kind of narrows it down to everybody. And it's funny because I ran into Robert Mukes and I looked at Brett and I was like, is that Jim? And he's like, no, that's Robert Mukes. I'm like, oh, okay. So never mind. And then Kevin Nash comes walking. I'm like, okay, that's not him. That's Kevin Nash. And then I ran into you, and you were, what was your costume? It was,
I was Repo Man.
Okay. And, and then I was bugging the crap out of you. I talked to you and said, hey, I want to do it. And And I kept bugging you and pushing you until you until you finally said yes, just to shut my ass up. And lo and behold, 6 years later, here I am.
Well, that's definitely, you were relentless. You were driving me nuts at one point in time. And quite frankly, your enthusiasm was infectious. And that ultimately is the reason why I invited you to join the team, because I didn't usually bring in rookies.
Right.
But there was something about you that, enthusiasm alone, you wanted to do this, and you do whatever it took to do this. And you constantly beat yourself up when you're trying to develop a character because you think it's not good enough, when I thought it was good enough. Mm-hmm. So you've got all the qualities and tools that a good haunter needs, and that's why I brought you on board to begin with.
And I appreciate it a lot with bottom of my heart. But I do want to do a side note real quick. I just want to say RIP to Paul Orndorff. He wasn't a wrestler back in my day. It was probably more of yours and Donnie's days, but rest in peace to a true legend, Mr. Wonderful. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
Thank you for that, Mikey. It was a sad day when I saw that news because I watched him many a time.
I watched him get inducted. I watched some of his matches. This was before, he passed away and all that. And, he was really good and all that. So it's hard losing people that, we grow up with on TV and stuff, so like when Roddy Piper died, my heart broke, or like when David Bowie died, I was like in tears. So, but
yeah, my buddy Sherman Tank sent me a meme. It wasn't a meme, but it's just a picture. And it really kind of like set me back a little bit and made me think about it. But I never even realized it. But if you remember the complete Heenan family, every single member of the Heenan family is now passed away. Mr. Wonderful was the last one.
Wow.
You had Andre, you had Bundy, you had Orndorff, you had Heenan, you had Mr. Perfect, Rick Rude, Big John Studd. All of them passed. So the whole Heenan family's gone. And he sent me that picture and it like gave me chills. I was like, wow.
Man.
It's crazy.
Bobby the Brain Heenan, man. He was a monster.
Mm-hmm.
He knew his talent.
Yeah, for your haunting career, so you didn't really start at a haunted house, right? Like normal people, you just went right into traveling actor.
I went right into it, and my first haunt was we went to MHC, and it was my first year at MHC. It was when it was up in Columbus, and Jim and everybody was like, "Who wants to go to the haunt?" And I'm like, "Oh, me." And then they said, "Okay, who wants to act in it?" I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Well, I don't have a costume for it. Is that okay?" And they were like, "Oh yeah. It was it Kelly Collins haunt, Jim?"
Yeah, Scaratorium.
Yeah, Scaratorium. And it was, and so they put me in there, and I think I was with Rebecca and Damien Reaper, and I was behind what is that, a slam door? What do they call it?
Drop
panel.
Yeah, drop panel. And it's funny because I just came up with my own things as I went, and it's weird because the character was just made up just like that. And it's weird because I like transformed into it, but man, it wore me out.
Very cool. One thing I wanted to touch on with you guys, and I'll kind of just go ahead and get into it, is I don't remember an episode us talking about traveling actors and what a traveling actor is and what traveling actor services involve. So if you go, and I'm sure Jim's the expert at it because he owned a traveling actor company. So
Right.
If you guys want to touch on what a traveling actor is I'm sure most haunters know, but some newbies like out there may not. But just, talk a little bit about what a traveling actor actually is and what services they provide and stuff like that, if you could.
Well, in my view, as the rookie, I'll consider myself the rookie because you guys are more veteran than I am. I would feel like not many people know what a traveling haunt actor is. I mean, some people in the haunt world do know, but it's like, you don't hear many groups. But for me, in my eyes, we just travel to haunts that, of course, they either hire us or we just volunteer because, most of the time I was at Indy Scream Park, but then I worked for a couple charity haunts, such as the Trail for you, Donnie, and I worked for Backwoods. I worked for Backwoods with Alan Shell. And, and it's funny because people that are out there to get paid in the haunt world, I feel like that's a terrible thing. Yeah, it's a job and all that. You bust your butt. But man, when I went to like your haunt, Donnie, and then I went to Alan's haunt, and I didn't get paid for it, even though Alan is Alan and he's very generous. But he and it was just the it was just the enthusiasm and everything. You know, these guys aren't getting paid, and they're going out there and killing it. And it just brought something new to me. And it's like, it's just so heartwarming knowing that. And man, they have crowds, they interact so good. But, you know, it's different, you know, traveling from, like, I could be at Indy Stream Park on a Friday night and then travel all the way to Columbus to Allen's for Saturday. And it's like, you know, it's tiring, but at the same time, it's fun, you know, because I mean, I understand some people don't like being in the same haunt for 20, 30 years. That's what makes it fun for being a traveling haunt actor, going to different haunts, having different clients, and getting your name out there and just having fun, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you learn a lot. You have your own freedom. To an extent, you have your own freedom. Like, we create our own characters, where a haunt, for say, says, okay, here, you're going to do this character tonight. You're going to do this character tomorrow night. We get to be our own character. And it makes your mind a lot sharper, I think, when you create your own characters. And you don't run off a script. You go on your own and you just make that character. So there's a lot to it, to being a traveling haunt actor. I mean, it's not easy. In my eyes, I don't think it's easy, but at the same time, it's totally worth it. It builds you as a haunter, I feel like, and it transforms you to be smarter and just think of, you know, lines you can say where you don't have to say the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Right. So it sounds pretty much, from what I gather, and I always compare the two because that's what our podcast is all about, but it's kind of basically traveling actors. It's kind of like independent pro wrestlers, where they, you know, they go and get bookings at different haunts and they travel to those haunts and they perform, and, you know, they get paid sometimes they don't, and they go home. It's pretty much identical to pro wrestling.
Yep, exactly.
At least a hot dog and a handshake, right?
Right.
That's funny.
But, you know, the nuances of traveling actors are different. And some people don't really understand why. And it takes a special person, and there are plenty of them out there. I mean, there's a laundry list of great actors out there that have traveled to multiple haunts, and I respect each and every one of them. You know, with MAUL, now in their cases, you know, they weren't. In certain cases they were, but the majority of them are just freelancers, and they might work together, but they're not part of a group per se. Okay. And there are others that are part of an entertainment troupe, and that's where MAUL falls under, because MAUL would travel to specific haunts that were booked. And quite frankly, at one year, I remember at least one weekend that had MAUL actors at least 7 different haunts on the same weekend.
Nice.
So, you know, that's where the group mentality comes in, because you can cover different venues. But nowadays, as I'm looking forward, and you know, I'm just a consultant at this point, having sold the business to Mr. Dan Leopold, who is upholding all of my expectations and everything. I have no doubts he won't succeed. But this year is going to be different. People still aren't wanting to work. I don't know if that's going to spill over into the haunt community, but if anybody in the haunt community is listening, and I hope you are, because we are WrestleHorror.
Mm-hmm.
If you know of a haunt in the Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio area, what? Yes, thank you, Mikey. That might need actors, you need to reach out to MAUL because they've got some great talent. I'm just saying,
Absolutely.
you might be short-handed. I don't know how it's going to work with you guys, but if you find yourself in that, contact them as soon as possible. The sooner the better. The later it gets, the harder it's going to be to book somebody. So you can find them on Facebook at Mikey. What's the Facebook page? I don't remember anymore.
It's MAUL, but Mobile Actors United Legion, or MAUL Monsters or something. Just look up MAUL and see.
Yeah.
Just look for this emblem right here, and you'll find it.
Yeah, I don't. So I have a feeling that I mean, some haunts may be short on actors this season, but I don't think that's going to be a big problem from what I saw this past weekend. Because I know, because we did Carnage Saturday or Friday and Saturday night, did a sneak peek session, and Friday we were a couple people short, you know, because it was a Friday night, people work, whatever, and it's the middle of July, so you know what I mean. But Saturday, I mean, we had actors from different haunts show up. And I mean, there was one time I'd go out into the lobby and they probably had 8 queue line actors. I mean, just people just roaming around everywhere, and every scene, every spot was filled for the most part. And there was, you know, so I mean, there was an overflow of talent and actors on Saturday night. So I think as time goes on, I think it'll be good. I mean, it's going to be a huge haunt season. I can almost predict that, because just from what we saw this past weekend is going to tell us that. But yeah, I think there'll be a good amount of actors that's going to be out there. And if you're deciding not to, get off your lazy ass and go work, do some haunting.
Well, and that's the thing that MAUL does. We are majority queue line actors. So I mean, we love playing in queue lines, but we don't mind playing in the house. And it's like, you know, I mean, we're trying. You know, I already got in contact with there's a couple people that actually reached out to me today that wants to join the team. So we're slowly growing again, and we're dedicated. That's why our motto is "Hear the roar, fear the pride." And you know, we bring the roar, but we definitely bring the pride, and we're ready to go. I'm at that state again where I first met Jim. I'm not shutting up about it. I bugged Dan. You know, we already got one contract right now, and we want to get at least one more, maybe 2 more, depending on how the season goes. You know, but we're ready to go. There's a lot of people jumping, and we're ready. We are definitely ready to go out.
Yeah. So getting back on the traveling actor services for a minute, how does that work? This will probably be a better question for Jim, but Mikey's more welcome to throw his input in as well. As for like the services, I mean, is it like people reach out to you and say, hey, we need 6 actors, or we need 4 actors, or do you reach out to other haunts, or is it a mixture of both? And that's question 1. Question 2 is there any other services you guys provide as a traveling actor company besides just haunt actors going and working queue lines and stuff?
Well, that's a very good question, Donnie. And the answer to that is that I don't remember. I'm kidding. As far as the extra services go, I and several of the actors that work with me do voice work.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, but the extra services also goes into, okay, here's an example. There's a brewery out in Indiana that was having a Halloween thing in the middle of October, and they wanted some characters out there, and they booked 4 of us to come out. Anyway, we came out and we entertained for 4 hours while they had this this beer shindig going where we could drink. So
Right. There you go.
great.
Yeah. That's kind of like what I was getting at. Like, do people ever reach out to you and just say, hey, we're going to shoot an independent horror film, and like they stumbled across your website and saw a couple characters that they thought would fit their film or whatever.
We've been in a couple films.
You're bringing up that damn movie again. Wait.
I was going to lead to it, but I figure I'll let it slide this time.
What movie are you talking about?
What he was going for. But the way MAUL really got started was it was interesting because the vision that Jason, Henry, and myself had is we didn't even think about making money. We just wanted to go out and have fun scaring people.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we wanted to do. And we figured a few friends might want to go do it with us. And then, Jason and I had been working on it. We've been talking about it. And I had talked to certain people and people like Tater knew about it. And there was a haunt out in Indiana called Indy Scream Park who had tried to contact Tater to come out and do some work. But Tater books up really quick. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
in some cases, if I'm not mistaken, a year ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
But Tater was gracious enough to refer him to me, knowing that I had a fresh group of actors that were looking to prove themselves someplace else other than their home haunts. So through phone calls and contacts, he made money. And I was thrilled to be able to pay the actors.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was it as much as they would have made at Dent or whatever haunt they were working at? Maybe not. But it covered the bills and they got their hotel room taken care of.
All right.
It's the passion. It's the passion.
Right. At one point in time, I had a group of Alan Shell's actors before he went for the whole month. They were itching to come out and act. So they came out and acted with us at Indy Scream Park. And, I put them up in the room and everything. And they wouldn't take the money. I said, I'm just like Alan. You're taking this money or you're not coming back.
That's a true story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I had to do to get them to take this money because I paid in the 6 years I ran it myself. I made sure every actor got paid every week, or depending on how the pay schedules work, they always got their money.
Right.
Before anything else, before any expenses or things we wanted to buy for the team, first thing I did was make sure they were paid.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me feel great to be able to do that. And it turned into a long-term contract with them, and some things changed, but it all worked out in the end. Unfortunately, they no longer need our services, and that was right before COVID slammed the world shut.
Right. Yeah.
But there's other venues out there, and I'm confident that MAUL is going to be out there tearing it up and making them recognize what Hear the Roar, Fear the Pride means.
Very cool.
So, should I find a cricket sound?
Yeah, got me in mid drink. Wet no whistle.
Wait a second. Hold on a second. Hold on.
That sounds like the crowd after my first wrestling promo.
Oh, that's great.
Let's see. Is it this one? Not that one either. First time's a charm.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is.
There's no crickets in the ocean. What are you doing?
Right.
We're having a little bit of fun. So, Mikey.
No, Yes.
Favorite horror movie?
Oh, Nightmare on Elm Street. Doesn't even matter which one. Nightmare on Elm Street, man. Freddy Krueger he's my idol, man. Robert Englund and what's his name? Wes Craven. Sorry. Robert Englund and Wes Craven, man. They are gods, man. And I was proud to meet Robert Englund, and man, it was worth the $100. He would sit there and just talk your ear off, just like Ari Lehman would. But yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street, man. I like them all, man.
No, we tried to book him, but his agent said no.
Who, Robert?
Yeah, I'm sure he's a little busy.
Hey, could try an interview or something. He'll be at Whorehound in Cincinnati is it September?
I think so.
Yeah.
Now, did you base the Mikey Four Eyes character off of any kind of Nightmare on Elm Street reference?
No. Nope. Mikey Four Eyes actually originated and started as Johnny Four Eyes. Or no, excuse me. It was his first name was Al Kilpone.
Yes.
And then he transformed into Johnny Four Eyes because that sounds more mafia-ish and all that. And then everybody started calling me Mikey. I'm like, I'll base this character almost off of me, Mikey Four Eyes. I wear glasses and stuff, but I was the snitch. My character was the snitch, and I saw too much, and I got my face burned. I got my eyes gouged out and everything. It was intense. I haven't brought him out in a couple years, but he wants to come out again. But sometimes if I'm at work, some people get a taste of him because when I get mad, he just starts coming out.
Now, how many other characters do you have? Sorry, Jim, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
You're all right.
I have 3 characters altogether. I got Mikey Four Eyes, and I have another character. He's a tree character, and his name was Lord Timber, but then he's Timber. But as Bloodzo and a couple other people like to call him is Woody Fuckum. So, hey, that's, and sometimes I say yes, sometimes I say no. I don't know. It just depends. And the third character I cannot disclose yet because he's still in the making, but I promise he will be ready for haunt season this season. And I will be at Allen's for the most part this year. So if you want to see him or her, come on out and see him or her.
So I got nothing done.
Well, you talk to him all the time. You probably don't even have nothing to ask him.
I had something and it went away. What was it? Or Donnie goes, I keep saying I want to edit this stuff. Donnie says, leave it in.
Hey, you can edit it whatever you want. I just,
Make it human, right? It's entertaining that way.
Oh, yeah.
Are you not entertained?
Okay, I remember what it was now. So if you want to see the elusive Al Kilpone, if you go to the MAUL public page, there is a promo video from 20. What year was it, Mike? Was it 2017?
18.
18?
Oh, no, it was. I've been doing this for 2016.
Was it 16?
It was 16 because last year was my 5th year. And this will be my 6th year. So, yes.
Okay, so 2016. And you will see the elusive Al Kilpone discovering the Nazi crate that held the Ark of the Covenant.
Nice. I'll have to go check it out.
It's not the character that you have seen, Donnie, or you, Jim. He has transformed At first I was like, hey, I'm a cool little snitch badass, and then all of a sudden it's like I'm a snitch, I'm a dead ass, and a badass. So
now, when you bring him back, are you gonna do the transformation where it keeps getting worse and worse and worse, or?
I do have a few things I am planning with him. I try to revamp my character every year to just keep a good storyline going. Just like in wrestling, you got to keep a good storyline going, otherwise it's just that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So at first, when I first started as Al Kilpone, the name changes and all that alone, I had just a regular face, and it looked like I got the crap beat out of me. And then when I turned into Johnny, both my eyes were gone. I had a prosthetic over my eyes, and I had no eyes. But now, I have a contact in one eye, so it looks like I got blinded and beat the crap out of one eye, and then the other eye is missing. And my weapon of choice, of course, is a baseball bat. And yes, I hear, oh my God, it's Lucille from Walking Dead. And I'm like, no, this is a lot better. I don't need nails and spikes to kill you. I just use bare bat.
Mm-hmm.
So I do revamp. I do make new suits. I don't have the same suit every weekend, just in case there are returners from every weekend. Be like, oh, you're the same looking guy from last time. It's like, oh, you got a new suit. That's badass. So I try to revamp them, but I do have people that are like, hey, weren't you here last year? You totally redid it, and they're like, it's badass looking, and that's what I want. I want to make an impression on somebody like, oh my God, he was cool, and it's kind of funny because when we worked at Indy Scream Park, Jim's like, oh, don't be prepared to take pictures. I thought, 4, 5, 6 pictures. No, every single person there wanted a picture with us. And it was funny because it's like, hey, I like signing my name. So I started handing out cards, like actual playing cards, when I was Mikey Johnny Four Eyes, and I would have the Four-Eyed Jack. And I would sign the Four-Eyed Jack and everything and hand it to people. And I actually have people still message me. They actually have it framed with the picture of me and them, which is really cool. Nice. So it's little stuff like that keeps me going, that there are people out there that remember the character, that remember the smallest detail. Be like, wait a minute, didn't you have no eyes last time? Now you have one eye, and all that. And it's like, I'm doing my job right, maybe, and it's like in wrestling. It's like when Mark Henry was Sexual Chocolate, or when I'm going to bring it up, I'm breaking the fourth wall, when Kane was Glenn Jacobs, or when he was Isaac, or what was it, Isaac Yankem? Mm-hmm. And he got mad about that one time and all that. So it's like, there's stuff like that. It's like little stuff like that goes a long way. So, but to answer your question, yes, I am revamping him, and there will be changes.
Very cool. So you brought up wrestling. You said that Nightmare on Elm Street was your favorite horror film. Who's your favorite wrestler?
Oh boy, the man, Chris Jericho. He's not the best in the world anymore. He is the GOAT. But he's my favorite pro wrestler, my indie wrestler. I have a couple indie wrestlers from now and future great wrestling. I would say Shea Solo is one of my favorites. Matt Taylor. I love Schwartzy. Schwartzy is hilarious. He's awesome. I love Onyx. I like Jake Ely. I like Brandon Fields. I like, but Chris Jericho is my idol, and he is the best in the world. He is the GOAT.
How many times have you met him?
Oh man, I'd say about 7 or 8 times. And it was always at a Fozzy concert. And it's funny because the last time when I went, when they were at Bogart's, he looked at me. He's like, "I've met you before," and I'm like, "Yup." And I'm like, and I hand him like the 8x10s of me and him, and has him signing. And I just love it all. I just love him all the way around. I love his books. I love his music. I love his wrestling. I liked his dad when his dad played hockey. But yeah, Chris Jericho he's my guy.
Cool enough.
Right. Yeah, I want to start wrestling. I want to start training, and I want to one day, hopefully, if I ever get a chance, to go to AEW and just show them what I got. But I got to train.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's hard work.
It is. And I know your boy Onyx, man, he's a hell of a trainer from what I see and read and hear. And so is Cody Hawk, man. Cody Hawk is a badass, and
Mm-hmm.
I know you do some training too, so I want to taste it, I want to try it.
Oh yeah. You've got to get in there and put the work in. That's about the only way it'll happen.
I got to quit drinking this. I got to quit doing this.
Right.
I got to lose that beer gut. I mean, I see my turkey waddle. I shaved for this thing just to be semi-professional, but what can I say?
Dave, what the hell,
It'll grow back.
So, Mikey, there's a point in the show where Donnie asks a specific question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Time for that question.
All right. Yeah, there's a question we ask everybody that's on the show. There's no right or wrong answer. We just like to listen to people's creativity and see what they come up with.
Okay.
And the question is, you are the main serial killer in your own horror film. What is your go-to kill?
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. My go-to kill. Man, I really don't know. I think it'd be cool to run over somebody. I can't answer that question very well because it's like, there's a lot of ways, I'd like to strangle somebody, make their eyeballs pop out. I want to
pick one.
I would say go to kill. I would like to pull a Negan, and I would like to beat the crap out of somebody with a ball bat. I do.
There you
go. Our streak still stands.
Right.
What, is that everybody's answer?
No, nobody has said the same thing twice.
Okay.
Everybody's had a different answer.
Let's keep it going. 102 different answers. 103. I don't how many.
Well, we started like halfway through, so probably about 40 to 50.
Hey, that's a good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a better streak than Undertaker's streak.
So, Mikey, tell everybody where they can find out more about you and about MAUL and all that good stuff.
Well, I mean, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me at local wrestling shows. I'll be there. But the best place to find me is at a haunt. I personally, I would recommend, hey, go to our Facebook page and like us. But the best way to experience us, come see us live. Come see us at haunts. We post our schedules, like we'll post, hey, we're going to be at the last carnival on this day. Come and see us, and MAUL. I mean, you'll know it's us. You'll know because we just show that we are proud to be a part of the group. We show that we are just proud of who we are as haunters. But yeah, I would say social media, and then come out to your haunts, come out to the local haunts, support them, because they're ready. So,
Donnie, any last words?
No, I think we covered pretty much what I wanted to get out there, and that's to try to tell people what traveling actors were and what their services are and all that. And that's something we hadn't touched on. So I think we pretty much covered it.
All right. Well, with that being said, for myself, Meathook Jim, my co-host Donnie Hoover, and our special guest, Mikey Four Eyes, thanks for listening to the WrestleHorror podcast. We'll catch you on the next show.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media outlets: Facebook.com/WrestleHorror, Instagram @WrestleHorror, Twitter @WrestleHorror, on YouTube at the WrestleHorror channel. And you can also find us on our website, www.WrestleHorror.com.